Hi my dear LSM community, it's Dr. Sudolin, your orchestra director. As promised in my previous video a few weeks ago, today we will look at one of the pieces that we're going to perform this summer at LSM. Florence Price's Dances in the Canebrakes. Perhaps you remember Florence Price from last year when we read a movement from her third symphony. Florence Price was born in the late 19th century in Little Rock, Arkansas. And she was an amazing pianist, organist, and composer, and went on to study at the prestigious New England Conservatory in Boston. In a time of very serious racial tensions, race crimes, and oppression of women as well as minorities, Florence Price fought for her rights, fought for her voice to be heard, and became the first female African-American composer to have her works performed by a major symphony orchestra. Winning first prize in a composition contest, her first symphony was performed by the Chicago Symphony in 1933, an orchestra at the time made up of entirely and exclusively white males. Florence Price's Dances in the Canebrakes were originally written for piano in 1953. She unexpectedly died shortly after from a stroke at age 66. Her childhood friend, William Grant Still, whom you probably remember from last year at LSM when we performed his Symphony No. 1, orchestrated those dances for full orchestra. The two were really close friends and grew up together and even played the piano together, played four-hand piano together during that childhood. I'm grateful to my LSM faculty colleague, Dr. Cole Berger, who's an expert on the music of both Price and Grant Still, and who has recorded the piano original of this piece on CD. He sent me the original piano sheet music that shows some orchestration notes in Grant Still's own hand, and it's been super interesting to study those documents. In the live recording, you can see and hear my students from the Concordia Orchestra at Concordia College, where I teach. You may see a few familiar faces, including LSM alumni Victoria on bass, Nick, Micah, and Jeremy in the cello section, and Tom, last year's conducting fellow, as associate concertmaster. A few others of the orchestra members would have been at LSM this summer, and you would have met them. That includes concertmaster Abby, who would have been one of our violin fellows, as well as cellist Matthew, who would have been this year's conducting fellow. I feel so lucky and grateful every single day to get to work with truly the most wonderful students. And I hope you can tell that we all had so much fun with these dances by Florence Price. One of the things I love most about the Concordia Orchestra is the trust, friendship, and love that connects all of the musicians. It's that trust that lets us all feel comfortable to open up and share our musical gifts and ideas with each other and with our audiences. I'm really proud that we're performing music by underrepresented composers on every single concert. And another thing I'm really proud of my students for is that we are one of the very first college ensembles to have abandoned the outdated binary concert dress and have developed and implemented an inclusive and non-binary dress code that intends to welcome and embrace everyone. Here's a few interesting details about the music. There are three movements that carry the title Nimble Feet, Tropical Noon, and Silk Hat and Walking Cane. Within those movements, you will find several different types of dances and different types of feels. It is a lot of fun to experiment with these different types of feels as an ensemble. Some dances are exhilarating and moving forward. There we need to play at the front end of the beat, almost as if we had the feeling of rushing. Other dances are more proper and very strictly in time. And yet some other dances, especially in movement 2, should be played really laid back, very much at the backside of the beat. They should feel almost as if we were to drag. There's tons of funny moments too in this music, so listen for some fun moments at the end of the first movement, for example, where the orchestra suddenly speeds up a lot for just the the very two last bars, or listen for the sleepy, sluggish, hot summer day kind of atmosphere that's created in the second movement. You can hear it right away from the very first movement, I think. Or the last movement, which always reminds me of the music from the Pixar movie Up, if you're familiar with it, with its many contrasting characters and colors in the music. William Grant Still's masterful orchestration sits really beautifully for the orchestra and quickly sounds good in rehearsals. It gives a lot of opportunity to work on different sound colors and shadings. I personally love that he includes the alto saxophone in his orchestration, as I believe it adds such a beautiful color and unique warmth. Here's the sad news, folks, and a call for action. Up to this day in 2020, we still have a long way to go as musicians as well as responsible citizens of this world. The music of Florence Price and so many other composers of color or non-male gender identity fell into oblivion as soon as it had emerged to the surface. And all of us must change this. It's our responsibility to make sure that everyone's voice is being heard. We must ensure that the music we perform mirrors our entire community and our entire world, and that our programming reflects the challenges we face as a society. Because art and history, art and change, art and the striving for a better, more harmonious world should always go hand in hand. It may not always be easy to have these conversations, but we must have them. Both Florence Price as a composer and as a person, as well as her music, have been a huge source of inspiration for me. I hope you too will enjoy her music. I look forward to exploring more great music of historically underrepresented composers with you all next year. All of us at LSM, your faculty, your staff, and your friends miss you so very much. Feel free to shoot me or any of us a message or an email anytime you'd like, okay? Much love.